Hey, this is Shah from worshipguitarskills.com, and in today's lesson I'd like to share with you the 5 essential things that you need to prep in order to take your worship guitar playing to the next level. Now, if you stick around until the end of the video, I've got a really cool gift for you, so let's dive right into the 5 things that you need to prepare. Prepare your parts. Now, you'd think that this one is obvious, but over the years I've seen so many musicians rock up at a rehearsal not knowing their guitar parts or the song structure. In fact, I've been guilty of this myself many times before. However, I think it's really important that you have a professional attitude when it comes to this, just by taking the time to learn both the song structure as well as your guitar parts ahead of time before you get to the rehearsal. Because a rehearsal, that really shouldn't be used to learn songs. So you have to be respectful of the other worship team members by learning your songs ahead of time, and then just always striving for excellence in that regard. Now, that way, you can use your weekly rehearsal to practice other important things like the flow in worship, free worship, all those kind of great things, because you've already learned your parts and your song structure ahead of time. Now, in some instances, the worship leader might only release the songs on the day, or maybe they change the set list at the rehearsal, or change the key of a song to suit a different singer. Whatever the case may be, I recommend doing these 2 things. Number 1, just roll with it and know that you're there to serve. So be flexible and be adaptable for any last minute changes, because they're bound to happen. Now, number 2, you can take some time to discuss this with your worship leader or the band leader by just letting them know that if it's at all possible to get songs ahead of time, you'd be able to prepare better, which will have a positive effect on your rehearsal time as well as worship on Sunday. Just be very careful in the way that you phrase that, so that it comes from a place of wanting to help and serve, and not from a place of being annoyed and frustrated. Prepare your tone. Now, as a guitarist, you need to have your tone dialed in for a couple of reasons. The better you sound, the better your playing will be. It's that simple. Now, if your tone is uninspiring, it can have a real negative effect on your playing, because you'll be fighting with your tone instead of working with your guitar tone. And having your tone dialed in also makes it really easy for the sound guy to raise your levels in the mix, because they know what to expect from you sonically. So you got to make sure that your amp and your pedals, all these things are dialed in the right way to work with your specific guitar and your specific pickups. Also, you need to know what your different pickups sound like, and you got to use them accordingly. So spend some time dialing in the right EQ on your amp, making sure your pedals are tweaked, in the right way for that specific amp and the specific guitar, that particular combination. And then if you're using different patches, you also want to make sure that your volume levels are consistent across your different patches and your different pedals. Now, those are the basics when it comes to dialing your tone, but it can make such a huge difference in your playing. And remember, it's not about having the latest and greatest gear. Instead, it's about knowing how to use what you've already got. That's just good stewardship. Prepare your heart. Now, this one is huge. It doesn't matter how good your playing is. If you don't understand the true heart of worship, then you're really missing the whole point. If your heart is aligned with what God is doing and wanting to do in your local church, then your playing will have a much greater impact, because it's not about the music, but at the end of the day, it really is about the heart of worship. So what you can do there is be intentional when you are preparing your parts and playing throughout the week, just by spending some time digging into what it really means to have an intimate understanding of the heart of worship. And one of the best ways to do this is just to regularly spend time worshiping on your own throughout the week. That's really important, because remember, guys, that we can't take the congregation to a place of worship that we haven't been to ourselves. Prepare to flow. It's really important to know and follow the song structure, but even more important than that, in my opinion, is having the ability to flow during worship. Now, of course, this comes with practice and experience, but a couple of things that you can do to prepare and develop your ability to flow is to find that balance between being responsive to what God wants to do during the worship set and working on your skill level so that you can facilitate that flow as and when it happens. And this is done by listening to what the rest of the band is doing and supporting a delicate moment or a specific direction as it happens. Now, if you feel the Spirit prompting you, you need to be able to respond accordingly. That is very important and makes all the difference. Now, you can do that either through a simple repeated melodic phrase that you feel led to play so that the vocalist can catch onto that and maybe use that melody for some inspiration to do some prophetic declaration, or maybe you're playing a rhythmic thing that the rhythm section can latch onto and then develop that into something that inspires the whole band. So I've used both of those approaches by either leading with an idea that the rest of the band picked up on, or I supported a specific melodic or rhythmic idea that was already happening, that someone else led with that. So what you want to do is make sure that you practice how to flow, and that is best done with other musicians as you learn to engage in a time of free worship. The most important thing is to be ready from a skill level so that you can facilitate the flow as and when it happens. Prepare your attitude. Now, playing in a worship team is not always easy because you'll be working with a range of different people with different personalities and varying levels of skill and experience. But at the end of the day, you need to remember that even though the music and the performance side of it all is very important, even more important than that is the attitude that you have when it comes to serving in your local worship team. Now, having the right attitude will promote unity in your team, and as we know, God commands a blessing where there is unity, and our attitudes really contribute to that. So this all needs to come from a place of love, because as 1 Corinthians 13 verse 1 says, without love, we're only a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal, just an annoying distraction. All right? So make sure that you're approaching everything that you do from a position of love as you interact with the members of your team. Now also be present when you're on stage. Smile and connect with the people in the congregation. And of course, guys, that means not having your head stuck into your charts or continually fiddling with your amp and pedals. So let's recap. There you have 5 things that you can prepare in order to take your worship guitar playing and the worship experience as a whole to the next level. Prepare your parts, prepare your tone, prepare your heart, prepare your attitude, and prepare your ability to flow. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you've learned something cool. And if you'd like to get a desktop picture for your computer, your tablet, or your smartphone to remind you of these 5 essential things when it comes to preparation, just click the link in the description below. It's going to ask for your name and email address, and then I'll send it right over to your inbox. Now, finally, I'd like to keep doing these free lessons. So if you enjoy this, just hit the like or the thumbs up button and let me know in the comment section what else you'd like to learn. And of course, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can get notifications whenever I release new free lessons like this one. And finally, guys, if you know someone that might benefit from this video, please go ahead and share it with them. God bless, and I'll see you on the next one.